Congratulations to Mackenzie Dern. You finally won more than one fight in a row for the first time since 2021 when you were coming off a 4-fight win streak, or rather a 3-fight win streak going into your Nina win and a 4-fight win streak going into your Marina win. The dark ages for Dern are over, or are they? Because I did say in my last video, well, not my last video, but my video responding to Dern talking about wanting Suarez to be champ because it's an easier matchup than Wei Li, which is BS. I did still say she could beat Ribas, but the top 5 ahead of her is going to be a bit of an uphill battle. She already lost to Amanda Ribas. Andrade beat her already. Bad matchup. Barely scraped by Verna Jandiroba, who I thought beat her on damage. I don't see her beating Xiaonan in a rematch. And, I don't think the Tatiana fight's going to happen, nor the Wei Li fight, because, again, I don't see her making it to a title shot. So, again, that leaves it in question, are the Dark Ages over? Because I did say she could win this weekend and then lose her next fight because she's so inconsistent. But obviously, Dern has a chance to prove me wrong. She could easily, not easily, but there could be a world where she could string together another win, maybe 3 wins in a row. And if she can do that, she can get a title shot. I think the fight to make should be Verna. I know people are going to say, no, Verna deserves a title shot, but with Tatiana Suarez, bro, they literally tried to make her fight, They try to make her fight Lemos, who was coming off a loss at the time, and then Verna. So if Tatiana, she, in the end, the waiting game and pulling out of fights worked in her favor, but I'm just saying, if she had to have risked her spot, if those fights went through, it's only fair that they make Verna Jandiroba take another fight. Like, they can make Verna fight Jessica, I don't care if she's coming off a loss, or rematch Dern. I think a rematch with Dern is the fight to make. It can headline a crappy Apex card. Although this Apex card wasn't half bad. There were a lot of finishes, a lot of good fights. It's a shame I missed half of these. I didn't really tune in to the co-main event. And of course the main event, but this was a pretty solid card, and usually the cards that on paper don't look good, they end up delivering somehow. But let's talk about the fight in general. So it did look like the improvements of Dern came to shine tonight. Her striking looked better, and of course she was more patient than she usually is in her fights in terms of the striking. She didn't try to blitz Ribas or try to brawl with Ribas. But usually Mackenzie Dern always tries to initiate slugfests. And in the past that has gotten her in trouble. But I'm just wondering, why couldn't she be this patient when she fought Andrade, when she fought Lemos? Why did she have to fight like a freaking brawler against some of the most heaviest hitters at strawweight? But then the moment she fights someone who's pillow-fisted, all of a sudden she's patient and takes her time. Of course, sometimes you gotta go through those rough experiences to, improve in your game. I get it. But, better late than never. It's good to see Dern actually show some improvements in her stand-up. Ribas didn't look to have a clear advantage on the feet like she did in the first fight. And that's the work with Jason Perillo paying off. Let's just break the fight down round by round. Fight starts, a bit of a tit-for-tat matchup on the feet. Very even on the feet, unlike the first fight. And then Dern ends the round with a takedown and some control. Clear Mackenzie Dern round, in my opinion. And then round 2, people were saying it was 1-1 going into round 3. I'm going to argue that Mackenzie Dern actually won round 2. Because Mackenzie Dern, even though she, went for a takedown and it got reversed, she already did damage on the feet. Ribas was already cut. She was already bleeding and swelling up. And then Dern was more active from her back than Ribas was. Ribas was just laying on her, controlling her, not really doing much. So based off activity and damage, I give that round to Dern. And I'm pretty sure she reversed Rebus at some point in round two, no? But it was like towards the very end. So yeah, I gotta give that to Mackenzie. And then round three, it was looking like it could have been a Rebus round, but actually no. The round three was going pretty much the way round two was going. Rebus defends a takedown, gets it reversed, ends up on top, but then she gets reversed through a Dern armbar attempt. Dern abandons the armbar. I'm like, yo, why are you letting go of the armbar? But she was cooking. She was cooking. She knew what she was doing. She gave up that initial armbar attempt, got the mount position, dominant position. I'm like, this is going to be another Dern round. She's actually winning the fight. And then Dern postures up for ground and pound, and then through going for that ground and pound that opened up an opportunity to latch up that armbar. And I'm like, yo, is she actually about to sub Amanda Ribas? And she subbed Amanda Ribas, which is just kind of funny because I remember pointing out in the build-up in my prediction video that Dern couldn't sub the likes of Angela Hill, who, it's not like Hill is unsubbable. She's been subbed many times. Randa Marcos armbarred her, for crying out loud. She couldn't sub Yan Xiaonan with so much control time. Lemos with so much control time, even though Lemos actually has good jiu-jitsu. We saw Verna sub Lemos. She couldn't sub Marina Rodriguez with so much time on top of her. Tisha Torres was able to defend subs from Dern. So seeing that kind of made me think that, okay, I don't want to say Dern's jiu-jitsu is overrated, but I went into this fight thinking people are kind of blowing Dern's BJJ capabilities out of proportion. They act like going to the ground with her is a death trap, and if you go to the ground with her, it's over. But going into this fight, I thought that's not the case, and I had too much faith in Ribas's ground game, which was foolish on my part, but yeah, MMA sometimes just makes no sense. This game of MMA makes literally no sense because the times I've said, oh, when Dern gets this fight to the ground, it's over, and then she got the fight to the ground, it wasn't over, and she couldn't get a submission. Or she'd be even slipping out of sub attempts that she's had. But then the moment I say, oh, this person is well-rounded and has the jiu-jitsu to keep up with Dern on the ground and can defend subs, all of a sudden, Dern is able to get like her first submission in damn near 4 years. Like, what the hell? This is why predicting fights and predicting MMA is so hard, because sometimes logic does not apply. Sometimes weird stuff just happens. Like, again, I thought Dern would sub Angela. I picked her to sub Tisha in round 2, which almost happened. I picked her to sub Marina. Should have happened. I picked her to sub Yan Xiaonan. Again, should have happened. She couldn't do it. I did actually pick Lemos to beat her. Hey, I thought she'd sub Jessica, but with Andrade, she was smart enough not to follow Dern to the ground or engage in a grappling match, because if she did, then she would have got submitted. But honestly, I really feel like Ribas sort of fumbled the bag in this fight. I feel like she was kind of dumb, because in the first fight, okay, in that first fight, she got 2 takedowns, but from what I could remember, if my memory serves me correctly, you can fact check me in the comics, or comments, sorry, not comics, I'm tired. Ribas would like get a takedown, but then she'd let her up, no? And I remember actually saying in my prediction video, yes, Ribas can hold her own on the ground, but at some point, she'll have to let Dern up, and I didn't think that she would play the guard game with Dern for too long. I thought, okay, she might take her down, hold her down for a bit, but then eventually will stand back up to avoid risk and keep it on the feet. But that's not what she did. She played the ground game with Dern for too long, and if you play with fire, you're gonna get burned. And I guess Ribas was too confident in her own jiu-jitsu to go up against Dern's, that she thought she would be safe on the ground with her, but she learned the hard way. And I mean, who knows what would have happened if Ribas would have chose to take the path of least resistance, which is the moment she wizard trips or sweeps Dern to reverse the takedowns, who knows what would have happened if she would have just stood back up after getting a takedown. Maybe she could have went on to win a close striking match, but then again, probably not, because Dern was doing all right on the feet and was doing damage. And probably she would have caught Ribas eventually. I mean, I want to look at the stats. Okay, Dern landed more significant strikes. Ribas landed more total strikes. But again, the striking seemed so even. It didn't seem like Ribas had a clear advantage on the feet. And I guess maybe that's why she wanted to I guess, play the guard game. But either way, dumb mistake. But congrats to Mackenzie Dern. I'm interested to see what the UFC chooses to do with her next. I still don't think she's a future champion. I will admit she's a dangerous fight for Tatiana, because even though Dern's not the greatest striker, she has her moments and she does hit pretty hard. And I know Tatiana's not comfortable getting in brawls. And I know that if the fight goes to the ground, I mean, Dern is always going to be dangerous. And I don't want to say she can sub anybody because, again, there's strikers she couldn't sub. But again, MMA makes no sense. She can't sub these vulnerable strikers who can't grapple to save their lives. But all of a sudden, she can sub one of the most well-rounded fighters in the division, who's known to have good jiu-jitsu. So I guess she's a submission threat to Tatiana, despite not being one to Xiaonan, Tisha, and Marina, and Hill. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments.